You're listening to the PR Wind Down Podcast, the show for public relations professionals who are ready to see real change in the PR industry. We are your hosts, April White and Laura Schooler. Let's get ready to wind down. Okay, so we have...
Do my teeth look whiter?
Teeth? Did you get your teeth whitened?
I got the crest strips, but one of them was an hour-long one, so you keep it on for an hour. And then I followed it up with the half-hour one. I guess you're supposed to keep doing it, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's a once-and-done thing, but they look great. I mean, I didn't ever notice your teeth not looking white before.
You know what I noticed is that when I certain color or lipstick made them look yellower, like really pink, like super hot pink lipstick would make them look like gross.
Should we chit chat about something less gross?
Yes. How about I got the New York Times to reply to me in 5 minutes today because the building I live in is turning 100 and they're having this big centennial celebration. And so the woman who's like very in charge of doing it, I told her I'd help her with PR and we wrote this pitch and I emailed it to James Barron and he wrote me back. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm interested. I'll get back in touch with you in a couple days." I was like, "What?" Yeah, it's by an architect that's renowned in the city for some super, super duper fancy Park Avenue buildings. This was his first solo residential building that he did in 1922, and it was the tallest residential building in the Upper West Side when it was built. So this was sort of his first foray into becoming this amazing architect. So that's probably why. And it's 101. We were supposed to have the party last year, but clearly things have been thrown off course. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's not a done deal, but he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm interested. I'll get back to you in a couple of days." I was like, when does that happen with the New York Times? Ever?
Right, when you're not even pitching for a client or like something that quote unquote matters. I mean, it matters, but not like...
Well, you know what? It only matters in that it'll hopefully bring up the value of our building in the real estate.
Okay. Well, in that case, it does matter. I like that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, and I pitched others, local reporters and stuff like I love the Upper West Side newsletter, and nobody replied to me. Only the New York Times. Is very funny. So that was my good story of the morning.
I mean, I love that story.
Yeah.
That's the greatest story of the morning. I don't have a story even close to that. All right,
do we want to talk about this ChatGPT in PR?
You want to set the stage for us?
ChatGPT's been all the rage since, I don't know, the first time I heard of it was December of 22.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't late to the party, but I've heard it actually started in November. So I was, a few weeks late to the party. But I actually hadn't tried it because I was afraid, I don't know, that it was going to like blow up my computer or give me 19 viruses or the government was going to, come and get me or something. I don't know. But I talked to a woman that I used to work with and she was like, "Oh my God, you have to use it." So I tried it out and now I can't stop using it. So I know that there is some PR council guidelines on generative AI in terms of, ethics to guide the ground rules.
Yeah.
So a lot of the ethics in AI is about diversity, and not excluding people, etc. Maybe some of the other things is like, you can't have a client hire you to do their PR and then all you do is have ChatGPT do all of their releases and work for them. But to me, what I've been using it for, and it's been very interesting, it's sort of a combination of Google and Cision or Muckrack all in one. You have to come up with the questions that you're asking it very specifically, geographic parameters, time frame parameters, whatever. And then it writes back to you like it's speaking to you like a normal human being. And it's so much better than trying to weed through Google or weed through the, Muckrack or Cision. I've gotten many lists of reporters like, who do you think, be interested to write about, such and such a topic? Now, I will say it's not 100%.
So you put that into ChatGPT. What reporters would write about?
Yeah, what U.S. reporters have written about or might be interested in writing about whatever topic, and make it as specific as you can. And I've
Okay.
gotten like lists back. Now, I will say the lists are not 100% accurate. They're not even 80% accurate, because what they do is they go back and they're pulling from, a year and a half ago. And as we know, reporters have moved on, 3 times since a year and a half ago. So you
Right.
do have to go in and research. You
They're
have
on
to
their
go in
fourth
and
job.
research. So then you have to use muck rack, right? To like see, is this person still there? And is this person still writing on that topic? Or was this just something that they used to write about? But it's been very helpful to sort of get the ball rolling. And it has given me people who I would have never even found probably in any, maybe unless I took, 5 hours to research them and finally come up with them. So that was one thing. And the other thing is, by delivering me the information it delivered to me, it sparked ideas about, oh, maybe I can pitch this on a different angle.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't,
cool. Like it shifted your perspective to go, oh, maybe
yeah,
nobody's pitched this specific angle of
exactly.
this story.
Right.
That's
Because the
cool.
way I was thinking about it and what the response was not totally the same. It was a little different, but enough the same that I was like, oh, I could do both my angle and this other angle.
Yeah.
Like in 10 seconds. So I don't think that it is going to replace PR people. I think it is going to make our lives easier and our work better. In the short, I've been doing this for 2 days. This is my 2-day assessment. Well, I just told you I got the New York
That's so
Times,
cute.
right? I
Yeah,
got the New
yeah.
York Times in two
And
seconds
you
on
wait,
something.
you did that because of ChatGPT?
Well, I had the reporter I went to on another list. And then I also said, what reporters would write about, an old building on the Upper West Side? That wasn't really what I said, but close. And his name came up on it. And so I was like, oh, he's the guy.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
and I wrote to him, and I swear, in less than 3 minutes, he was like, yes, I'm interested.
Incredible.
So I don't know if we want to share this information with everybody.
Of course we do. What I am curious about is, do you think this will make it easier for clients to bypass using professionals like us? Or do you think you still have to have all the industry knowledge to be able to even use it effectively?
Right. So if you have a smart internal person,
Mhm.
an internal in-house PR person,
Yeah.
it might. However, with clients that I've been working on, I'm working for 3 different divisions of the same company, or they've got 15 reports a month. No one person can do all of this and write all of the pitches and pitch all of the pitches and set up all the interviews. So you always need, I feel like, an agency to be your arms and legs. And then as the internal person, you can check it, give ideas, maybe cherry pick, the interviews that you want to do personally.
Mhm.
But it still takes time to do all this work, right? So
Yeah.
if you're like a small startup, you might be able to do that. But I think it's always good to have the perspective of, maybe it's not a whole PR agency, maybe you have a PR, consultant or something.
Mhm.
But I
Wow,
don't I
that's
don't see it replacing. And also people who don't understand PR, really, marketing people who, just know a little bit, or people who don't know PR at all, they're not really going to know what to ask or how to use what information comes back. It's like anything else. Like, oh, here's my media list. And if a person doesn't know what to do with it, then it's kind of useless anyway.
right. You still need your financial expert, even if they can use AI for
Right. Or
gathering
the person who knows how to
percentages and
to
data.
to pitch a reporter. What do you write? How do you write a pitch? How do you respond to them? Could you imagine if you knew nothing about PR? You have no idea how to talk to a reporter.
You're just like, um, what reporters would cover a tech startup with ADHD focused glasses or whatever, right? And
Right.
it's like, cool. And you get the feedback, and it's like,
Then what
now
do you
what?
do with that? Right. Hi, Bob from Scientific American.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, will you talk to my client tomorrow? Like, you wouldn't know what to say. You'd have no idea. So you
Yeah.
still need PR expertise and experience. Will we need fewer very junior people? Possibly.
Yeah.
To do all of the research and list building and maintaining? Possibly. So, my word to the junior PR people: get really good at using AI, ChatGPT, etc., and make yourself invaluable
Right. Because the senior people are going to be
right there.
traditionally not as comfortable with it or not used to using it.
Right, but they could be right there with you. So you need to like
Right.
up your game, and then you want to be better than all the other junior people. So if they're only going to now hire 3 junior people instead of 5, you want to be one of those 3, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's good advice. Well, Laura, we have a very exciting guest in our waiting room.
Yeah.
Are you ready for me to let her in?
Yes, I'll sit up straight even.
All right, so we are very excited to have a very esteemed guest on today's PR Wind Down, and it is Molly McPherson. So, after 20 years of working in public relations and the news industry, she developed Indestructible PR Framework, which is helping companies write effective responses to public relations crises, especially those occurring online. Molly served in the External Affairs Office at the Federal Emergency Management Agency and was the Director of Communications for the cruise line International Association, where she handled the official media responses related to the maritime security during the 9/11 attacks.
Jeez.
and and the neurovirus outbreak on cruise ships in 2002. She's also the author of the book Indestructible: Reclaim Control and Respond with Confidence in a Media Crisis, and host of the podcast Indestructible PR with Molly McPherson. And she runs a popular TikTok account for analyzing the latest PR crises. So she is all-round superstar in PR, and we are very thrilled to have her here. Welcome, Molly.
And I'm so excited to be here to speak with both of you.
We are honored. It's our honor for sure.
So,
Oh, thanks, April.
Molly, before April digs into the hard stuff, how did you get some or all of those jobs? Was it just like every other PR person, you sort of stumble into one thing to the other, to the other, to the other? Or were you like, that's the job I want?
No, it's unlike most people. I was a military spouse and I was forced to go and I was
Work in
forced
the
to quit my
military.
jobs. And every time I moved to a new place, I had to find a new job.
We actually have a lot of military spouses that work at Trust Relations.
Do you really?
Yeah.
We do.
Oh my
We
gosh.
do. Yeah.
Military spouses to me, and I say we, I'm no longer military spouse, as am I no longer with that spouse. However, it's a truly resilient bunch of people.
It is. It is.
And
They're incredible.
it is. And part of the reason why I have the success that I have today is because of the experience that I had living through being a
Yeah.
military spouse. Any military spouse knows there are benefits to it, but it's a lot of resilience, a lot of struggle. And I usually can like spot a military spouse in the distance. We have the
Yeah.
same like look on our face almost.
Well, our show producer who is off camera is one of them. So she's, I'm sure,
Wonderful.
listening in and, relating to this, but I'm sure you guys are birds of a feather as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Mhm.
So awesome. So, Molly, I know a couple of things that we had on today's agenda to chat about. One is this really interesting interplay that continues between social media and PR. And I'd love to get your thoughts on that. I know sometimes now social media is sparking actual news stories, and the crisis landscape has completely changed because of social media. I'm just curious, where does your head go on where things have gone and where you think they're going when you think about this interplay between the two?
The timing. Every single client I have is in the process of being canceled online. This viral aspect, and I say the term loosely because truly no one is quote unquote canceled. It's
Right.
a double-edged term. On the one hand, I think it perfectly encapsulates what it is, that kind of mobilization and movement against someone. But at
Yep.
the same time, the true cancellation process, it's there's a bifurcation there. It's people who kind of deserve to go away because they have done something truly egregious. But most people think of it like what happens when a group of people decide to target someone and they're going to bring you down. And many times there's an agenda behind it.
Yeah.
I am telling you, it is constantly changing. And I just got off a call with a client right now who was dealing with a potential problem that might be revealed down the road. And we were having this conversation. And I said, listen, there is no playbook. I said, I thought I wrote the playbook, but it's antiquated within a day. TikTok, I believe, changed everything. I mean, certainly Twitter changed everything, but everything stayed the same for many, many years. TikTok has changed everything. It almost like wipes it clean. It's like a 24-hour crisis communication cycle. It changes every single day. And you are almost at the mercy of which group of people decide to target you for whatever reason. And what is the agenda? Is it personal? Is it someone who wants to latch onto a crisis for their own gain, for their
Yeah.
own influence? or do they have some type of special interest, whatever it is. So my job is becoming more and more of almost like a fortune teller. I have to figure out the risk. And even yesterday, okay, we have these press requests. What do? I'm like, I don't know. What do we do? Like I have to think like a reporter. I have to think like an
Yep.
editor. Like what's the angle? So it's fascinating. I love our business for that reason.
Yeah. And then are you also sitting there thinking, okay, who could be actually seeding this crisis to bring down my client with what agenda? Or you have to think about all of those angles too, right?
Because I am
Who's
so
behind it?
focused. Yes. Like I have to know not only who's behind it. Is it someone behind a green curtain or is it someone who we know? And I want to know the agenda. Like I truly want to know the agenda. Is it for an issue for greater good or for themselves? Is it for viral? Is it for influence because they want more followers? Do they want to jump on a viral hashtag? Like, do they want to hop into the algorithm and benefit from it? Or is there really some other underlying reason? Or has my client truly erred in something?
Right.
And they need to fall on a sword. And how hard do we fall on the sword? And what I'm finding is that you almost have to fall on some sword, just to appease people and wait for the next thing to happen.
Do you ever feel like you're falling into conspiracy theory
Yes.
mindset?
Yes. Just yesterday, I said it somewhere. I did a TikTok yesterday about Elizabeth Holmes' profile in the New York Times.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like, am I
You mean
conspiracy?
Liz?
Yes, exactly. And like, am I conspiracy that I think every single legacy newspaper article is just clamoring for engagement online? Like, was it Elizabeth Holmes, someone doing her a favor and saying, and we're going to give you a puff piece? Or did the New York Times say, you know what, if we make a puff piece, we know people are going to be a little outraged by it and people are
Yes.
going to chat about it? Or is it somewhere in between?
It's interesting. I saw some tweet
Oof.
by a renowned writer. I can't remember who it was, reporter, who was like, basically like, are you effing kidding me that the New York Times wrote this story? And it's funny because when I saw the story and I didn't read it, I read like the first paragraph and saw that she no longer has the black turtleneck and her hair's down and her voice is higher and her name is Liz, not Elizabeth. I was like, wow, that's crazy. How many people get a big story like that? And it didn't even really dawn on me that it was so insane until I saw that tweet. Or was it the New York Times maniacal way of really bringing her down for good? Because it was so crazy and blatant what she's trying to do, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't-
It's up to the reader truly to
Yes.
interpret what's happening. And did the reader read The Dropout? Did the reader listen to John Carrew's read in the Wall Street Journal? Like, what's the level of acquaintance do we have with her? So
Yeah.
I don't know. But where I always go back to now is, and this is where I've been in the past month, is my head has been in this place of creating content, stories, journalism, whatever around engagement, because the greater benefit truly online, everything is about online and engagement. Engagement leads
Right.
to views and views leads to
Right.
money. And I can't
Right.
get out of that lane.
Totally. Because how many millions of people have looked at that story now, right?
Of course, of course. How many people, and I don't know if it's behind a paywall or not. I mean, I'm a subscriber.
I am too.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's behind it. I would
But did
suspect
people
that it is.
pay to read it?
Yeah, I don't, Laura, you and I have to, if we could do it for 2 seconds and figure that out, then that's probably half of it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting though, because I also feel like this is the very dynamic that's also contributing to this lack of trust in the media,
Right.
right? Because it's like, oh, well,
What's the motivation?
what's the agenda? Is it propaganda and by whom, for whom,
right?
right?
Yeah. And I tend to fall with management on that one that, I don't like the journalists, I think truly want to ethically cover the news. That's the ethos of being a journalist.
Of course.
But the
Do no
newspaper
harm.
business is dying. It is
Yeah.
dying. They
Yeah.
have to get clicks. They have to get shares. If you walk into any newsroom, you see the board and what moves. It's a business model. So, and
Yeah.
we're at that moment right now. So that's why everything I see is sus. To me, every news item is sus
I
to me.
agree. I agree, but I think the general public does too, right? And then I think it leads to people feeling like, oh, now I have to be a conspiracy theorist to figure out what the actual news is. Where's the line, right? Like,
I
where
know.
do
We're
we
figuring it
draw
out.
the
It moves
line?
every day. It moves
It's
every
like,
day.
It's here, it's
Mhm.
here, it's here, it's here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, interesting time to be alive and be part of the news world.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
I'm also super curious, Molly, to hear about some of these super significant publicity cases you've worked on and lessons you learned, throughout your career that you can impart to the younger generation and the listeners of the show.
I am so fortunate at this stage, just to be treated like I'm some type of, PR expert
You
and,
are.
forward thinking. No, but April, that's what it boils down to. It's just because I'm the person who went on TikTok and claimed, you know what, this is what I'm going to do by virtue of being, one of the first, or in this niche,
Yeah.
because I know our people exist. I mean, we're everywhere. But I have to be honest, like I don't have all the answers, but what I think I am good at is I always want to learn the answer. I just finished teaching last week, college. I had my classroom there and they teach me as much as I do, standing up in front of the room. But TikTok for me, and specifically TikTok in terms of social media, the amount of knowledge that I receive from following trends, the algorithm pointing me to stories, people who comment. I get a focus group every day. The DMs, like it's
Yeah.
come to me. It's like people are serving me with knowledge. These last 3 weeks, I have learned so much in the last 3 weeks. And what I've learned is I don't have the answer. And honestly, I don't think anyone in PR has the answer. Younger people nowadays are our writers, our digital writers, our culture reporters. They're the ones driving news. They're determining what's news and how to respond to it. So
Mhm.
I just think everything is digital. Crisis does not happen just in traditional media anymore. It is always social. It either starts there, originates there, or ends up there. And every brand is at the mercy of public opinion, and it's digital public opinion. So it's not even an answer.
Interesting.
That's just a thought of where we are. It's like a
Yeah.
timestamp of where we are right now.
Right. And there's no way for anyone to control that, foresee it. Like you said, you can be more intuitive or better at forecasting or better fortune teller or whatever, right? Or just have more data points from the past from which to make a more accurate prediction, but it's still a guesstimate.
And can I tell you, April, this is what I just said to someone too. Okay. So I've had 2 very deep dive crisis communication calls this morning.
Yeah.
What I had said to one client, because they kept asking me, like, well, what would happen if this? I mean, we're talking off the ledge, like, here, come back, come back. I mean, that is what my 24 hours has been. And I had said to them, we can never predict what a person is thinking and when they decide to go on TikTok to make a post. No one can predict that. Okay. But what we can attempt to do is predict why they're doing it. Let's start thinking about motivation. And when we
Yeah.
start thinking about motivation, it will help us figure out that agenda. And when we figure out agenda, we can be a little bit more predictive. So I sometimes I'm going in on a wing and a prayer and I'm crossing my fingers. I'll say, I believe we should do this for this reason, because human behavior and experience tells me this is what's going to happen. It's almost about human relations that I'm becoming a better expert than public relations, if I have to be
So
honest.
it's almost like psychology or sociology would be the better
Yep.
place to inform yourself about what's going to happen next when you're trying to deal with these crises that are
Uh-huh.
generated online
Yeah, it's
or via
human
social.
behavior. That's
Interesting.
yeah. And can I tell you, April, it is interesting. It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
I love how passionate you are about this job.
Oh, I am. I know.
I can
Well,
tell. It's
I
infectious.
love it. Yeah. Well, I love what we do. And I mean, I've been a newsie my entire life. I love it, but so much of it is just rooted in this human behavior. And the golden rule, like if you're just a good person, eventually that will come out. Like
Mm.
truly good people are not destroyed in this business. And people who try to get away with something, they get their comeuppance. And just personally, I went through things in life where I like seeing people who are good have good things happen to them. And the
Yeah.
people who aren't good get what they deserve. No, and you did it. I didn't fully answer this question, but I think when you're talking about people who are in this industry, who are coming up in this industry, because I can bookend it, we all have been at this for a while. We came in a more traditional approach. We're non-digital natives, right?
Yeah.
That's how we came into it.
Yeah.
We are all working now in a fully digital world with digital natives there. And I do think up and coming public relations professionals, communicators, whatever it is truly having your finger on that pulse of what is happening not only from a technology point of view of, just what's the next social app, what's the next digital, understanding AI, without a doubt, but it's understanding the behaviors of people on social media platforms. I think if you can
Mm.
harness that skill, that is the next gen PR leader, visionary out there, is someone who can harness that.
Interesting. And are there things that brands can do to protect themselves given this new landscape?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I have learned this. So I had mentioned these last couple of weeks. So I really got swept into the whole Bud Light, Dylan Mulvaney
Oh, yes. I'm so
marketing
curious your
sales piece
thoughts
of
on
it.
that.
All news now revolves around culture reporting. Like
Yes.
every outlet has a culture beat, but it can
Yes.
bleed into all these different areas. And so with Bud Light, the mistakes there, we all heard about outrage marketing, but I feel because of social media, particularly now with conversations in TikTok, is it's really more or less about outrage marketing, but more opportunistic outrage. It's like leveraging outrage because that leads to engagement, and engagement leads to eventual, profit. So I feel like these brands like a Bud Light, like, hey, let's just blow things up a little and just get people excited and talking. But the problem with like an Anheuser-Busch, I don't think they let everybody know, and they cannibalized a really, really core market that intersected with conservative type of movements. Now it became like a woke issue. So it got beyond them. So I think organizations need to really decide that where do they settle on the DEI issue? If
Yep.
you don't embrace DEI or are not actively working towards your DEI, it may not be a problem now, but that's what's going to hurt you down the road. That will be your weakness, and that will expose, and that will do it too. So it's culture, it's diversity, equity, inclusion, it's your values. If you strengthen those, support those, promote those, that's what's going to protect you down the road, and people can get behind you. That was kind of the lesson I learned there.
Right. If you're actively doing it, right? Because I think in
Mhm.
Bud Light's case, it did seem like it came out of left field a little bit, right? It
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
feel like, okay, so how is this part of your normal brand and your brand values and your brand tenets, like what you're
Yeah,
doing?
exactly.
And
Like, who
suddenly but why would you then send product to this person out of the blue, right? Like that doesn't
yes.
seem on brand. So of course it's going to blow up in your face.
Yeah, like values marketing was not thinking about sales and marketing. And, you don't want to be a brand that, because this is what happened. They
Yeah.
became a brand that went against the
Their
trans
brand.
community. And so in the end of it, it was almost worse. So they
It was
lost both.
definitely worse.
It
It
was
was worse.
polarizing, and they risked, losing both. But now, like, okay, they're working to get their core back. But now where do you stand with LGBTQ plus? Where do you stand with them? You've lost them. And I don't think
Yeah.
in a culture nowadays we don't want to devalue anyone. So
Right.
I think if you get ahead of it, that's what I'm finding. More and more brands,
Yeah.
that's the crack where the viral moment kind of comes in, and they'll hang on that. And if you don't have that covered, forget it.
Right, because if you're authentically already doing something as a brand to set yourself up for success and you've proven
Yeah.
yourself and you have the goodwill, then when you make those missteps, they don't hit as hard because you've already laid the groundwork and the foundation for being the brand that is trusted because you're authentically doing something
Yeah, that's it, April. Yep.
that you're supposed to be
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Mhm. Yeah.
Oh my God, so interesting. So interesting. What
Mhm.
other issues are you kind of mulling over these days? What else is in your head?
I do know that the conversation for public relations that it's almost like evergreen now. I'm almost to the point where I'm sick of it, but it's important, is artificial intelligence. It is
Oh, we were
AI.
just talking about that. I'm
We were
curious.
just
Yeah, I'd love to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts on where you think that's going and how that's
Yeah.
gonna
You
affect the
know,
industry.
it's funny. In my college class, I have to establish like we cannot use artificial intelligence for this class. Okay. We just can't. Ethically, I'm teaching you how to write for media. So it needs to come from your noggin here. But you cannot deny that it's there and everyone's going to be using it. And eventually in my class, I could tell, when people are using it. So then I brought the question to Twitter, and I asked, like, well, in my class, it's a no, but what about in public relations? What do you all think? And what was interesting, the first comments that came in, the first tweets, oh, it's fine. It's fine. It benefits this. We could do it for this, do it for this. But then you get a couple people who come in and blast it ethically. And then it changed the commentary on Twitter, which is the same thing that happens to TikTok. commentary drives it. So it's like people will think one way, and then someone will have a comment, and that completely changes public opinion. So now the algorithm has created a new form of public opinion. Now, a lot of people, I think, in PR feel like, oh no, we'll never use AI, and a lot of like writers use it. I fall in the middle. AI is here. AI can be used without a doubt. I had a news director. I'm friends with a news director who came in and spoke, and I asked, like, are we using it in newsrooms? Yes. If this saves you time that you can use it to develop a story, then it's worth it. Mm-hmm. But ethically, you need to tell your client, like, hey, this is what I'm using for this. But if it saves time on the simple stuff, you could use it, but it will never be fully, like, you can't go AI, take it, rip it, and publish it, print it.
Right.
Like, it has to vet through, for information accuracy and all of that. But it's
totally.
It's here. It's here for good.
Yeah. No, and especially for fact checking, because there was also that incident. I don't know if you heard about the mayor in Australia that was suing ChatGPT for libel because it wrongly associated him with the crime that he actually was the whistleblower on.
Oh, interesting. Yes.
So, but somehow it made him the villain. And so when people were putting his name in ChatGPT, it was spinning back this false narrative about him.
Of course.
So he had to sue them for libel.
Oh, I love that's such an interesting case. Wow. I was not aware of that, but because it scrubs the internet. It just pulls some information. Most of it's accurate, or we could say but
not all.
But not
so
all
you have
of
to be really, really careful. I think it's the same, same principle with Wikipedia, right? I mean, it's mostly accurate, but you can't just take that at face value and put it in your article or your press release or,
exactly.
Really careful. Otherwise, you could get sued for libel for having used what you thought was an infallible system of information.
Yeah.
So you didn't fact check. So you gotta be really careful if you're using ChatGPT and not double checking.
Yeah. And I think falling on the anti-ChatGPT AI bandwagon is probably antiquated thinking, because it really is here. But how do you?
It's here to stay. Yeah. There's no reason to do that. That's like, oh, I'm against email. Like what that back in the day, 1996 or whatever. Like, good luck. Like,
yeah, exactly. But be the firm who uses it ethically. Be open and honest. Like, we use it. This is where we use it. This is how we use it. This is our policy. This is in our contracts. We guarantee that we'll never use it for, XYZ. But finding a way that it can help you with productivity.
Yeah.
To make you better at what you do, then I think that's the next step. And younger people, they're the ones who are going to figure it out, I think.
That's what I was saying. I've only been using it this week is the first time I, attempted to use ChatGPT specifically.
I love Laura's honesty. She's like, been using it 2 days. That's amazing.
It has been for a research tool. I haven't been using it to write anything. I use it as a research tool, but it's given me some good information on the face of it, but it's also sparked new ideas. But you do have to go back and check it because it's not 100% accurate. It's just a really good way to sort of bump up where you're at by yourself. Well, actually, I did ask it to write me a song, but that was just for my own purposes. But for work,
was it a good song?
Oh my goodness!
I asked it to. You're gonna die, April.
Okay, I can't wait. I can't wait.
That good, but
hit me with it. Let's hear it.
I asked it to write me a happy birthday song to me, written in the style of Adam and the Ants.
That is so specific. Wait, is it your birthday?
Soon.
Oh my gosh, because it's so funny, Laura, because Adamant is on my running playlist, and I was just listening to Adamant, and I just posted something to stories, and I was trying to find a Gen X song, and so I was looking at Adamant. So the fact that you are mentioning it right now is hysterical to me.
Adamant is,
I gotta hear it.
Well, it's long, but I'll read you like the first verse and the chorus.
Give us the best parts, yeah.
So the first verse is, and I don't even know how it would be, because anyway, it's your birthday, a special day, a time to celebrate and play. So put on your hat, blow out the candles bright. It's time to party all through the night. With friends and family by your side, it's time to celebrate with pride.
Let me see. I'm trying to put it.
Yeah.
I was going dun 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 dun. Happy birthday for you. If you happy birthday for me.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
But now, thank you. This will be in my head all day. Oh my gosh,
So
you guys
funny.
are fun. Oh my
You're
gosh.
fun. We
I
want
need
to have
be
you
in
back.
the trio. This would be a great. This would be.
Oh my
I
God,
don't even. I
yes.
just do it by myself. This is a lot more fun to do podcasts like this.
It's way more fun.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Molly, any
God.
final thoughts for our listeners? And how can people reach you?
Well, people can reach me anywhere.
You're everywhere.
Yeah. Well,
Because you're
meaning,
famous.
no, I am not famous at all. No, my website, Molly McPherson, but certainly, and I don't own all of my social handles, but it's usually some variation of at Molly McPherson wherever. And then my website, mollymcpherson.com, my podcast as well. But, hey, and I love to hear from people, and I love, collaborating and meeting people. And I guess my final words on this is, if you have any type of public relations playbook that's either proactive, investor relations, crisis communication, whatever it is, you need to update it almost every single quarter. This whole industry is constantly changing. It's a great industry. We love it. But I truly believe in order to be successful at it, you have to stay up to date on everything because it changes on a dime.
Yes. Great advice. Mic drop. Molly McPherson out.
The categories.
The categories.
All right, cool.
We'll see you guys later. Bye. Great.
Bye.
Okay. Thanks, Molly. Well, thank you so much for tuning in for the PR Wind Down podcast.
And thanks to Molly for joining us for a really great interview.
She was the best. Hey, remember to submit your own agency stories and questions and to share our show with your friends and colleagues, because if you subscribe and leave us a rating, it helps us reach new listeners like you.
All right, you ready?
Okay.
On 3?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Can't wait to wind down with you again next time. Why are you so slow?
4. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay,
Okay.
I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3.
Can't wait to wind down with you again next time.
Oh my God, so bad.
Why can't we say it faster?
Can't wait to wind down with you again next time.
Yeah, say it normal.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Can't
wait to wind down with you again next time.
We're the worst.
All right. Well, we have 6 minutes left. Molly, is there anything else that we didn't talk about that
Look,
oh my
Molly.
God, what is happening?
Stop it.
There he is in
I
his puffy
love
shirt.
you guys. I love look at that shirt. Oh my goodness.
Oh, the sticker.
Love that.
It's so old that like the sticker came off the back. But anyway.
Oh my.
I love it.
I think my
32 shoes. I love it.
This is Strip. I'm pretty sure that's from the Strip
I
video.
think it is. Yes. I see. I love that song. It's on my playlist. Oh my goodness.
I don't understand how Laura's Kitchen has a visual aid for everything she talks about. Molly, I kid you not. Every single time we're on, she's like, "Oh, and look." And and it's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "How does she how is she doing this?"
Seen in
Like
your
this
galley
Pandora box of like every. How does she fit it? Her cat's right behind her, but yet she's got every visual aid. Like
I've got my favorite
goodness.
things around me. My cat, Adam, and
so funny.
Oh, put that garbage down.
Oh, them are fighting words.
Somebody's a Boston Red Sox fan.
Come on. Yeah, where's my Red Sox are not behind in my, my background. They're over there, but yeah. Oh my gosh, baseball. I was just talking with a client of baseball, like, because I work with someone, we have something bubbling, and we were talking about baseball.
If you need anybody to do anything related to Major League Baseball, call me.
Or are you a huge baseball fan?
It's the only thing. It's my oxygen.
Are the Yankees? You love the Yankees.
Yes. By March, I literally want to like just end my life because I'm so like devoid of baseball. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so you're like, I'm a huge baseball fan. Like I love this time of year. Like, I mean,
April's like, oh no, I've got an Adam and
There's 2 of them. I'm outnumbered.
Oh my God. But so
I'm gonna leave now.
No, Laura, you'll appreciate.
I should give you the room. I feel like it's like one of those like, oh, sorry, I feel like I'm interrupting. Because they're having like a baseball romance over here.